kunja-vihari gopi-jana-vallabha girivaradhari Yashoda-nandana Vrajajana-ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja-vihari Gopi-jana-vallabha girivaradhari Yashoda-nandana Vrajajana-ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja-vihari Gopi-jana-vallabha girivaradhari Yashoda-nandana Vrajajana-ranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja-vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja-vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja-vihari Jaya Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka-charya Ashtotara Shata Shishimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON BBT Samstapakacharya His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी. We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, titled Jaya and Vijaya, cursed by the sages, text 11. Ye brāhmaṇān mayi dhiyā kṣipato arcayantas tuṣyad-dhṛdaḥ smita-sudhokṣita-padma-vaktrāḥ vāṇyānurāga-kalayātmajavad gṛṇantaḥ sambodhayanty aham ivāham upāhṛtas taiḥ. It's going to be difficult to read. It's sort of long words. Ye brāhmaṇān mayi dhiyā kṣipato arcayantas tuṣyad-dhṛdaḥ smita-sudhokṣita-padma-vaktrāḥ vāṇyānurāga-kalayātmajavad gṛṇantaḥ sambodhayanty aham ivāham upāhṛtas. Ye brāhmaṇān mayi dhiyā kṣipato arcayantas tuṣyad-dhṛdaḥ smita-sudhokṣita-padma-vaktrāḥ vāṇyānurāga-kalayātmajavad gṛṇantaḥ sambodhayanty aham ivāham upāhṛtas. Ye brāhmaṇān mayi dhiyā kṣipato arcayantas tuṣyad-dhṛdaḥ smita-sudhokṣita-padma-vaktrāḥ vāṇyānurāga-kalayātmajavad gṛṇantaḥ sambodhayanty aham ivāham upāhṛtas. Ye brāhmaṇān mayi dhiyā kṣipato arcayantas tuṣyad-dhṛdaḥ smita-sudhokṣita-padma-vaktrāḥ vāṇyānurāga-kalayātmajavad gṛṇantaḥ sambodhayanty aham ivāham upāhṛtas. Ye brāhmaṇān mayi dhiyā kṣipato arcayantas tuṣyad-dhṛdaḥ smita-sudhokṣita-padma-vaktrāḥ vāṇyānurāga-kalayātmajavad gṛṇantaḥ sambodhayanty aham ivāham upāhṛtas. Ladies. Ye, which persons, brāhmaṇān, the brāhmaṇas, mayi, in me, dhiyā, with intelligence, kṣipatāḥ, uttering harsh words, arcayantaḥ, respecting, tuṣyat, gladdened, hṛdaḥ, hearts, smita, smiling, sudhā, nectar, ukṣita, wet, padma, lotuslike, vaktrāḥ, faces, vāṇyā, with words, anurāga-kalayā, loving, ātmaja-vat, like a sun, gṛṇantaḥ, praising, sambodhayanty, pacify, aham, I, as, aham, I, upāhṛtas, being controlled, taiḥ, by them. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Translation. On the other hand, they captivate my heart, who are gladdened in heart, and who their lotus faces, enlightened by nectarian smiles, respect the brāhmaṇas, even though the brāhmaṇas utter harsh words. They look upon the brāhmaṇas as my own self and pacify them by praising them in loving words, even as a son would appease an angry father, or as I am pacifying you. Purport. It has been observed in many instances in the Vedic scriptures that when the brāhmanas or Vaishnavas curse someone in an angry mood, the person who is cursed does not take it upon himself to treat the brāhmanas or Vaishnavas in the same way. There are many examples of this. For instance, the sons of Kuvera, when cursed by the great sage Narada, did not seek revenge in the same harsh way, but submitted. Here also, when Jaya and Vijaya were cursed by the four Kumaras, they did not become harsh towards them, rather they submitted. That should be the way of treating brāhmanas and Vaishnavas. One may sometimes be faced with a grievous situation created by a brāhmana, but instead of meeting him with a similar mood, one should try to pacify him with a smiling face and mild treatment. Brāhmanas and Vaishnavas should be accepted as earthly representatives of Narayana. Nowadays, some foolish persons have manufactured the term Daridra Narayana, indicating that the poor man should be accepted as the representative of Narayana. But in Vedic literature, we do not find that poor men should be treated as representatives of Narayana. Of course, those who are unprotected are mentioned here, but the definition of this phrase is clear from the Shastras. The poor man should not be unprotected, but the Brahmana should especially be treated as the representative of Narayana and should be worshipped like him. It is specifically said that to pacify the Brahmanas, one's face should be lotus-like. A lotus-like face is exhibited when one is adorned with love and affection. In this respect, the example of the fathers being angry at the son and the sons trying to pacify the father with smiling and sweet words is very appropriate. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport to Canto 3, Chapter 16, in the matter of Jaya and Vijaya, cursed by the sages, text 11. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Caitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijanasaitam Krishna Caitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Jayapataka Swaminiti Namine Nama Acharya Padaya Nitaikrpa Pradaine Gaurakatha Damadaya Nagragramatharine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Gopi Paranadana Dase Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyatya Deshatharine Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripatamaham Bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Yatkripatamaham Bande Paramananda Madhavam Shri Caitanya Ishwaram Katanchana Smrite Yasmin Dushkaram Sukaram Bhavet Vismrite Viparitam Syat Shri Caitanyam Namamitam. So in this purport, we see that Srila Prabhupada emphasizes how we should treat the Brahmanas or Vaishnavas even if they become angry at us. What is the basis of what Srila Prabhupada is stating? So we saw that in the previous verse it is mentioned that the Brahmanas are among the defenseless people. So what does it mean, defenseless people? It means that their whole life is dedicated to help others, teach others. They study and they teach others. So that is their exclusive business in life. So they don't have time, or they don't spend their energy in trying to protect themselves. They are well-wishers of all the living entities. Just like the Lord is the well-wisher, like he says here, they look upon the Brahmanas as my own self. So similarly, the Lord of course is all-powerful, but the Brahmanas they don't do activities which try to protect their body. But in terms of being well-wishers, they are well-wishers of the living entity, just like the Lord is the well-wisher of all living entities. So that is the understanding that we should have when we look at the concept, look at a Brahmana or a Vaishnava. So in their activities, of course I am not referring to Brahma Bandhu or those who are behaving like or superficially trying to behave like Vaishnavas. Srila Prabhupada is here is referring to genuine Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. So whatever they do is meant to benefit. They don't take personal offense. They see that certain behaviors are detrimental to the people who are committing those behaviors and to society at large. So Srila Prabhupada gives the example of the sons of Kuvera. What they were doing was detrimental not just to themselves but in general to the society. It was detrimental. So Narada Muni reacted in the way he did, and we see in Krishna's pastimes how it actually benefited the sons of Kuvera. They were personally freed from the life of trees by Krishna himself. So the Brahmanas are not like conditioned living beings. Of course they are also conditioned. Vaishnavas are not, they are pure devotees. But Brahmanas, they are not conditioned like those who are below in the other modes. So what is the characteristic of those who are in the lower modes? They take personal offense. They take personal offense. But the Brahmanas are not like that. They don't take personal offense. Their business is how to benefit the whole world. So when Krishna mentions in the Bhagavad Gita about the qualities of a Brahmana, Prabhupada explains that very nicely. One small conversation. Shamo dhamas tapah shaucham shantir arjavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma swabhavajam. So this is Bhagavad Gita 1842. Peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, wisdom, knowledge and religiousness. These are the qualities by which the Brahmanas work. And Prabhupada explains, so those who will act as brain, they must possess these qualities. But who is being taught of these qualities? This modern civilization is teaching people how to steal, how to cheat, how to satisfy your own sense gratification. You see, no tolerance, no complete knowledge. Knowledge means they must know what is the aim of life, what is God, what we are, what is this material world, why you have come here, so many things. This is called God consciousness. There is no such educational institution all over the world. Is there any institution where it is being especially taught what is God, what I am? Is there any institution? So we see that Srila Prabhupada is quoting the Bhagavad Gita verse and is saying that the Brahmanas teach this to the world. What do they teach? They teach the qualities that they have. Only someone who possesses something can give you something that they possess. So Prabhupada would criticize the academic scholars who study the Bhagavad Gita and give lectures. Because do they possess the qualities of the person described in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna? No. So Prabhupada is saying, talking here about, there is no one who's teaching these things. Why is it that there is no one who's teaching these things? There is no one who has these things in the first place. Of course, you can't say no one, but in generally, Prabhupada said, it's very rare. And we see here Prabhupada is saying no tolerance, no complete knowledge. All fools and rascals, no knowledge. No tolerance, he's saying. So, in this age of Kali, what is the symptom of the age of Kali? Prabhupada explains in the Srimad Bhagavatam earlier in the first canto. In this age of Kali, quarrels take place even over trifles, which means that even small thing can provoke someone. Very provocative. Social media is an example of that. It's very provocative, right? People get provoked very easily. So, of course, there are legitimate reasons to get provoked, but generally what is being mentioned is that people get provoked on their personal account. So brāhmaṇas don't get provoked on their personal account, but they become angry when people are acting against their own self-interest and against the self-interest of society. So we see that in the category of sadhus, when the word sadhu is used in the modern in modern day, sadhu is generally people who the notion of a sadhu is someone who speaks very sweet words. It's all about love and compassion and these kind of very flowery words. Prabhupada also came to exhibit love and compassion, but he would get angry, not anger in the modes of nature, but transcendental anger. He would say this is a civilization, as he's saying here. Right here he's saying, this is a conversation with a banker, where he says, all fools and rascals. I haven't done a Veda-based search, but it would be interesting. I want to do a search and check how many times Prabhupada used the words fools and rascals, separately and as combination and things like that. Prabhupada often did that because he's exhibiting his he's exhibiting his genuine concern for the well-being of the person and society at large. That is an actual sadhu. So, this is what Srila Prabhupada did by following in the footsteps of his own Guru Maharaj. So, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he wrote an essay called The Search for Truth. There he describes what is a sadhu. So he says, there is no doubt that the words of the sadhu possess the power of destroying the evil propensities of one's mind. So what is this sadhu meant to do? The sadhu is meant to destroy the evil propensities of our mind. The sadhus in this way benefit everyone who associates with them. There are many things which we do not disclose to the sadhu. The real sadhu makes us speak out what we keep concealed in our hearts. He then applies the knife. And the very word sadhu has no other meaning, has no meaning other than this. Sadhu means one who applies the knife. So, he stands in front of the block with the uplifted sacrificial knife in his hand. What Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is alluding to here is that how animals are sacrificed. There's a chopping block. The head of the animal is placed there, and there is somebody who stands with a sacrificial knife, like the butcher's knife. He stands in front of the block with the uplifted sacrificial knife in his hand. Then he says, the sensuous desires of men are like goats. So the goats are like our sensuous desires. The sadhu stands there to kill those desires by the merciful stroke of the keen edge of the sacrificial knife. How? In the form of unpleasant language. If the sadhu turns into my flatterer, then he does me harm. He becomes my enemy. If he gives us flattery, then we are led to the road that brings enjoyment, but no real well-being. So this is not the purpose of a sadhu to bring us to the road that give us the road that brings us enjoyment, but no real well-being. That's not the purpose of a sadhu. Sadhu is meant to cut. And cut how? Through unpleasant language. Unpleasant language can be of various forms, but essentially it means to cut through illusion. Ambrish Prabhu, our Ambrish Prabhu is building the TOVP. He recollects the incident that when he met Srila Prabhupada, one of the first things that Prabhupada said was, so where is Mr. Ford now? Very strong thing to ask, where is Mr. Ford now? So like that, Srila Prabhupada, when he would meet professors, he was very consistent about speaking the truth. Once there was a biology professor who came and met Srila Prabhupada. One of the first things that he said was, poor frogs. so Prabhupada would speak the truth. And because he's a sadhu, because he's speaking it out of genuine goodwill, generally people would not get offended. Of course, sometimes Prabhupada would say, I am an old man, I can get away with whatever I am saying. So we cannot say the same thing. But nevertheless, we are not meant to do the opposite of what Prabhupada did. We can tone down and be more respectful according to our status. So sometimes devotees are simply interested in criticizing without themselves following. Like for example here, Prabhupada is first of all quoting the qualities of a brahmana, and then he's speaking about brahmana as a teacher. So the devotees are meant to live the teachings, and when they live the teachings according to the level to which they are following, they can be strong. How to be strong depends on circumstances, but if it is done with a genuine well-wishing spirit, then people take it seriously. I remember about 30 years ago, I was reading a magazine brought out by some of the Gurukul children of Vrindavan. And they were teenagers, so they would sometimes go out on book distribution. And they had gone out on book distribution in Delhi to an office complex. And they decided to take the stairs instead of the elevator because they felt that they could bump into different people as they go up the stairs. Surely enough, they were coming down the stairs. So, surely enough, they bumped into some people. The first person they bumped into, they showed the book. He looked at the book and he said, "Oh, I'm in a hurry. I'm rushing now." And he started rushing. And this boy, he said, "Where are you rushing?" "You're rushing into the arms of death." It's a very shocking thing to say, but it stopped him in his tracks. He came back, started talking to him, and took a book. So the point is that because he did it, he said it genuinely, and it's a young boy, and it had an effect. So it's not that I was hearing one book distributor, one of the leading book distributors. So he was saying that sometimes when he distributes books, he says very clearly, modern civilization is a society of dogs, hogs, camels and asses. And he said, sometimes people are so shocked to hear that and they say, "Oh yeah," and they buy it. So anyway, this comes from genuine the concern for genuine well-being. When you see somebody suffering, you don't want them to suffer. So you want to shake them out of their complacency. So devotees do this sometimes, but sometimes they take it to the extreme. But it has to be done with a sense of genuineness and a sense according to one's platform. It's very easy to say these kind of things sometimes without oneself living those teachings. So we should always be faithful to the teachings and transmit those teachings uncompromisingly, but not exceeding our ability or exceeding our authority. And here it is mentioned that how when a brahmana or a superior behaves strongly with us, how we should respond. In English, the word responsibility is a combination of two words, response and ability. Respond and ability, actually it came from those two words. So the ability to respond is called responsibility. So responsible behavior means if a superior chastises us, we behave responsibly. We understand that this is meant for our chastisement. This chastisement is meant for our well-being. There is one devotee whom I work with and whom I know well, a disciple of His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj. So he met him in Hong Kong for the first time, and his father mentioned to Tamal Krishna Maharaj that my son is not very interested in Krishna consciousness. Then Tamal Krishna Maharaj said that because he must have only seen this temple in Hong Kong, so you take him to Juhu, let him see what Krishna consciousness is all about, so then he may feel interested. So then his father said, I've already taken him to Juhu, but still he is not interested. Then Tamal Krishna Maharaj looked at this devotee and he said, then he must be a fool. So of course, he said that word, that really struck me, that he said that. But it had a positive effect, that when he heard those words, he had a positive effect. So that's how we are supposed to take some chastisement. That of course he is not even a practicing devotee. Nevertheless, it's to his credit that he actually took those words seriously. So what to speak of somebody new? We have been in Krishna consciousness for so many years. So we need to examine, when we hear chastisement, do we take it seriously or not? And the finest example is Srila Prabhupada himself. What to speak of superior? Once Srila Prabhupada, this context what we are talking about, he was chastising someone, after a class, he was during a class, he was chastising someone, and there is a new person in the audience, and he looked at Srila Prabhupada and he said, Swamiji, why are you getting angry? Why don't you just chant? And Prabhupada looked at him and he said, oh, you have given very good advice. And he picked up his beads and started chanting. So this is how Prabhupada reacted even to somebody who is very new. He's just attending his class. So if Prabhupada could do that, what is our excuse? When we hear some chastisement or some correction. Of course, Prabhupada is correct there. He was chastising somebody out of his desire to correct them for their well-being. But nevertheless, it was in public, and there was somebody who brought up a certain point, and Prabhupada just said, okay, oh, you have said a nice thing. So like that, so we see how Srila Prabhupada responded. So for our advancement in Krishna consciousness, if we keep only flatterers around us, then we are in danger. We are in danger. In fact, was it Chanakya Pandit who says that one who criticizes me as an actual friend, right? I don't know who said. Anyway, it's a very common thing, that one who actually criticizes is a friend. Of course, the criticism could be sometimes coming from somebody who is not in good terms with you, who may be causing trouble to you, who may be even envious of you. But nevertheless, we are interested in hearing something from anyone if it is right. If it is right, okay, we have to accept the criticism and we have to correct course. Like I chant the pranam mantra of His Grace Gopi Parandan Prabhu every class and every session that I do, not just here, anywhere else. So that's because he's my Siksha Guru. He's not on the planet anymore. There is one instance where, now those of you who may know him, he was one of ISKCON's greatest Sanskrit scholars, and simultaneously, as many disciples of Srila Prabhupada have said, he was not just one of the greatest scholars, he was also one of the greatest, one of those people who displayed humility to the greatest extent. Simultaneous combination of humility and scholarship. So I recollect one incident where there was a Russian couple who came to introduce themselves to him, and they also introduced their daughter, and the daughter's name was Krishna Dasi. So when Gopi Parandan Prabhu heard that, he said in Sanskrit, a woman's name doesn't belong with a masculine. So for example, Krishna Dasi, it usually doesn't belong like that. It doesn't begin like that. So when this Russian couple heard this, they said that we named our daughter Krishna Dasi because Prabhupada had named a disciple, a woman disciple, Krishna Dasi. So the moment Gopi Parandan Prabhu heard that, he said, oh, then Prabhupada must be right. I take back my words. So that is an example of scholarship. Example of humility, that although he was a great scholar and he knew the rules of Sanskrit grammar very well and whatever it is, but when he heard that a pure devotee had done something, especially Srila Prabhupada, immediately he differed. Of course, here you could say it's Prabhupada, therefore it differed. But nevertheless, I've seen several other instances where it was not Prabhupada, but still he has differed. So the point is that when we lead our lives, people are looking at us. And one of the things that they look at us is, do we admit mistakes? Because unless we reach the stage of pure devotional service, reach the highest platform, not stage, we're already practicing pure devotional service. Unless we reach the stage of prema, we'll always be prone to commit mistakes. That's one of the defects of the conditioned soul. Of course, even pure devotee, those who attain prema also think they commit mistakes. That's a different thing. That's an out of their humility. But what to speak of us, definitely we are prone to commit mistakes. So when people see our lives, one of the things that they would see is how acceptable it is for this person to receive chastisement. Not necessarily from them, but how do they behave, And that's an important, very important element of behavior. That if you are actually progressing in Krishna consciousness, there will be several instances where we would have received chastisement. So if we just examine our chastisement log and see how many times we have reacted improperly, then that's a measure of where we have to go. Of course, we could say that when Jada Bharata is carrying Maharaj Rahugana, so when Maharaj Rahugana speaks very strong words, we see that Jada Bharata gets agitated, but he does not respond in an agitated manner. The point is that the material body and senses may respond in a certain manner, but the spirit soul, is not supposed to respond in alignment with the thoughts produced by the mind. So when a superior chastises, our mind may get agitated, but we should not get agitated. There's a difference between the mind's agitation and our agitation. So even if the mind is agitated, we should use Shastra Chakshu, the eyes of scripture, and then say, look, mind, you may be agitated, that's fine. You be agitated, do whatever you want. I'm not going to be agitated. I have to respond properly. So, so we should not get confused, oh mind, we are not yet there. Okay, let the mind get agitated, let it be. But how are we responding? Because eventually, when we conquer over all the senses and all that, then the mind is fully conquered. But until that we reach that stage, there could be a situation where the mind may be disturbed, but we should not be disturbed by it. So, and this example is given here that the example of the lotus is given. So their lotus faces enlightened by nectarian spiles respect the brāhmaṇas. A lotus-like face, Prabhupada explains, is exhibited when one is adorned with love and affection. So we should respond with love and affection, just like a father. When the father chastises, we don't respond with anger. We respond with love and affection. I'm not saying everybody responds like that, but ideally, when a father gets angry, he is supposed to respond with love and affection. So I think I'll stop here if there are any comments or questions. Exactly 5 minutes. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. The class. So, this how to cultivate this love and affection, because when we have this love and affection, then reaction will automatically be very nice, as it is mentioned here. So,
yeah.
How to cultivate this love and affection?
The way we can cultivate love and affection is, first of all, to understand the position of a Vaishnava. So if we understand that Vaishnavas are very exalted personalities, like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, in one Vyasa Puja lecture, he says that you may be thinking I'm sitting on a big Vyasasan and receiving so much Buruk Puja, and what kind of a brute, I think he says. I am sitting here and receiving all this adoration. But he says, I am doing this on the order of my superiors. Because I know, he says, that even one particle of dust from their lotus feet can deliver the entire universe. And it is these great personalities who have ordered me. And therefore, I am duty bound to accept this worship. Similarly, we see Haridas Thakur whipped in 22 marketplaces. But what does he say? To forgive the offenders. So he forgives the offenders. So these are the kind of personalities that we are following. We are a sampradaya of the greatest personalities who have walked this earth. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that there has never been and there will never be in future personalities like the followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So first of all, we need to understand whom are we? Whom are we representing? We are representing a lineage of people who are incomparable in the history of the universe. Not in the past, even in the future. And when we are first of all conscious of that fact, then we are also conscious of the fact that everybody in the Krishna consciousness movement is trying to assist these great personalities. So, of course, you could say it's not that the movement is filled with all advanced souls. You have all kinds of people in the movement. So I'm not talking some blanket thing, but I'm just talking about the general sense that we should have. If we lose that vision, if we don't have that sense of what are we dealing with, then we'll not be able to discriminate properly. So you can sometimes see, okay, these devotees are not behaving according to their certain standards of behavior. So otherwise, then okay, so we know that we have to keep a little bit away, because if I get involved in their loop, even if they are superiors, they will involve me in politics and diplomacy. So I can keep a respectful distance and let Krishna and superiors, Srila Prabhupada, they can correct them whenever they need to be corrected. But what we need to understand is the position of the Krishna consciousness movement, the position of the Vaishnavas in the movement, that nobody is ordinary. Then if we constantly have that in our minds, then when we deal with Vaishnavas, we are quite careful. Yes, Manju.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the class. When the chastisement comes from our superiors, I'm talking about myself. So the mind is not agitated. The mind is not agitated, nor the body or the reaction is with an agitation, but accepted. Acceptance is there with humility and to understand the gravity that why is that particular chastisement come, and then how do I need to work on it, how do I need to, of course the chastisement has come means something has been not proper or something has been done which needs to be rectified. So is it the right way of thinking?
Yes.
Or responding?
Yes. Of course, the mind may be agitated or not agitated. That depends on one's level of advancement. But even if the mind is agitated, still one should take it that the instruction is meant for my benefit. Unless you see the instruction is against Prabhupada's teachings, anyway, there are many things which have happened in the history of our movement where people have been given very crazy instructions. I'm not talking about them. I'm just talking about instructions which are within the boundary of Prabhupada's teachings. So as long as it is within boundary, then we have to accept it. Unless something is so obvious that, look, this completely goes against Prabhupada's teachings. It should not be like that. But otherwise, we have to take it that, okay, this is meant for our purification and we are meant to do this. For example, one of the common things that happen is people think that they know how to prioritize what they want to do in devotional service. So somebody may come, superior may come and says, look, this is the need of the hour. You should be doing this instead of doing that. So then we need to do, okay, the superior, both are devotional activities. And the superior is telling us, look, this is the need of the hour now. Instead of that, you're doing something else. So we need to take that correction and say, okay, I'll do this. So like that, it has to be seen. First of all, it should not be outside the boundary of Prabhupada's teachings. And once it is within the boundary, then whatever we are doing, whatever chastisement we are receiving, we should know that this is for our benefit. We should accept that, at least theoretically, then act on it. Okay, last question.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, when suppose management is finding some devotees are doing some wrong things, so in that case, if the management is disclosing, okay, this is the wrong things you are doing, not in the way of chastising or criticizing, but some other devotees also informing, okay, this devotee is doing some wrong things, not aligning with the management rules and regulations. So, if some devotees also means disclosing the things, is it wrong to criticize? No, sorry, not criticizing, but informing.
No, I don't think that's wrong, because as long as the management rules are aligned with Prabhupada's teachings, it's fine. Because there could be many, there are many right ways of doing things. Okay, so the management may have one right way of doing it, and somebody else may think I also have a right way. But then the management has the authority to do it. No, they have been conferred that authority. So as long as things are within Prabhupada's teachings, it's fine. And we are supposed to, that the word cooperate means cooperate, means we are supposed to operate jointly. And Prabhupada said that the institution is set up so that we cooperate with the system of management that Prabhupada has set up. It's Prabhupada who set it up, not us anyway, not anybody else. It's he who set up the whole system. The GBC, the temple presidents, and the whole system was set up by him. So even if we think we have a better way of doing it, still if the management has a certain way of doing it, if it is in alignment with Prabhupada's teachings, we just have to accept it. And if others are not aligned with it, we should first of all try to make them align. We are supposed to cooperate. But still, if they are creating disturbances or whatever, then it's our responsibility to inform the management and try to bring forward a cooperative spirit.
And if someone is doing some wrong things apart from the management things in their personal life, should we say or inform them as a devotee?
Yeah, I mean, you may not have the authority to correct. So whoever has the authority to correct that person, you're supposed to inform them. Yes, yes, definitely. Because you know it, right? You've seen something which is wrong. So it is important to bring it up to the, of course, if you have a friendly relationship, you can bring it up directly. But if you don't, then whoever is the person's authority, you're supposed to bring it.
We know we have to just inform their seniors or something, but suppose in case we are not able to communicate with the seniors or their spiritual guru, then in day-to-day life, if every day I'm seeing the person is doing some wrong things in their personal life, should we inform them at least? Because it is not possible to day-to-day life to inform their seniors and their spiritual
You can
guru.
try and see how it goes. But if you get chastised, just accept it. I mean, you can try. What can be done? We pray to Srila Prabhupada and try with a genuine thing. But if it doesn't work, just take it. What can be done? It's not, because some things are not in our control. What can we do? And wait for the right time when it happens. Okay. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.